Welcome back, Helldivers. Today I want to talk about some hidden changes that came with the most recent patch. The reason I say hidden, I really mean stealth changes, but the thing is, when I read stealth changes, it sounds like I'm talking about changes to sneaking, not changes that were in the patch but were not listed in the patch notes. So that's what we're talking about. There has been a bunch of changes to the game that were not listed in the patch note, and I'm going to go through a compilation of them today. I'm going to speed through some news because it's been a couple days because I got caught up playing Dragon's Dogma 1, which is a fantastic game. It's on Steam for $5 right now. Okay. Right, let's speed through some news. The CEO of Arrowhead Studios made a discussion thread about people getting kicked from the game. There's been increased complaints about people just kicking you for no reason. People still thinking that samples are being shared. If you're dying too much, if you're not having the right loadout. Fortunately, it hasn't happened to me, but it has come up a couple of times. CEO responded, said, hey, let's do the hive mind thing. Let me know your suggestions. The community responded with a bunch of ways you might be able to combat this, and he said, thanks very much. The other major thing to note with the CEO's tweets is he responded to a user who said, would you consider armor set buffs perks to entice fellow Helldivers to wear a complete armor set? And he responded with, not really, it doesn't make that much sense why matching clothing or armor would do anything special than it, well, matching. So no armor set buffs or perks coming in the near future. And one final reminder, the new War Bond is coming out soon on the 14th of March. This will have new weapons and armor, and people are still asking whether the old ones will disappear. No, they are permanent. They will not go away. I know this feels weird because you've been playing so many other live service games that captivate you through the fear of missing out. You don't have to rush. They will be there. You'll be able to just purchase the new one and start completing that and decide to put points into that rather than your old ones. Then you can go back to your old ones and use your medals on the old ones and complete it at your own pace. Wow, refreshing. Okay, now let's get to the stealth changes, all the changes that were not listed in the previous patch notes. This is confirmation from one of the community managers over on their Discord saying some things were stealth buffed and not put into the patch notes given to the community team. Can't say for sure why, but one change I can confirm is the EAT, the Expendable Anti-Tank Rocket Launcher, and the Recoilless is that they no longer have deflection angles where they will only do 50% damage to charges. This is why the railgun was so powerful. It didn't have any deflection angle and would always penetrate at a 100% damage. So a couple things first. Firstly, just confirm there are stealth changes that were not listed in the patch. Secondly, once again, EAT is one of the best tools in the game. I just need more people to use it, please. Okay. So here is a compilation of the stealth changes in patch 1.000.1. Let's go through them. Okay, the SG8 Slugger increased total ammo capacity from 40 to 60. I think the Slugger is a really good gun. I wasn't impressed with it when I first started using it, but I've really come to like it now. Highly recommend you try the Slugger out. Next, the Spear. Lootable ammo boxes now recover ammo for the weapon. This is huge for the Spear. I haven't gone back and tried it, and I do want to go back and try it again. That might make it a lot more viable, being able to loot ammo boxes. Right, the AR-23E Liberator Explosive. Now, I did a YouTube short on this. I went in and tested the explosive trait because it was meant to do 100% damage. It didn't do 100% damage to squishy parts, as the CEO tweeted, and I think that was because it was mislabeled as having the explosive trait. It's now been rebranded as the AR-23C Liberator Concussive. Users report that it now has a faster firing rate and increased enemy knockback. So, kind of confirming what I found out, which doesn't seem to have the explosive trait because it didn't do 100% damage to squishy parts on bugs, and now it has the increased enemy knockback, so it's got concussive instead of explosive. Right, the EAT and the Recoilless Rocket no longer have deflection angles when they would only deal 50% damage versus charges, and confirmed by devs, and that was the screenshot I showed you previously. Jump Pack, a shorter cooldown and longer duration. Further, your character would now leap into a boost, allowing momentum to be maintained. I need to go back and look at the Jump Pack now with the changes to the generator shield. Might be thinking the Jump Pack could be worth it, especially with charges the way they are now too, to jump over them. Right, the Armor Trailblazer Scout no longer increased speed and stamina regen and reduced armor. So no longer increased speed and stamina. Reduced armor, right. And the Dynamo helmets no longer increase armor and reduce speed and stamina regen. armor value fixed. Now, I definitely agree with this. The official patch notes state that the fixed armor rating values not reducing damage as intended, which gives the impression that armor values did not reduce damage pre-patch. However, through testing, it was identified that the pre-patch, all armor essentially had an armor value of 100. So the fix from the patch essentially nerfed the effectiveness of light armor, less damage resistance than pre-patch, while medium armor is unaffected. It doesn't say what heavy armor is here, but I definitely feel weaker in the light armor, so that kind of checks out for me. Enemy aggro range increased. Now, I've got some notes on this too. Pre-patch testing showed that the aggro range within an enemy's line of sight was 45, 35, and 20 for standing, crouching, and crawling respectively. Now, this is a link to a YouTube video, a simple guide to stealth. I spent like 5 hours doing this, and I still have notes on the ranges pre-patch, and I still have all the footage for it, so I might go back to it. The only reason I stopped doing the stealth video I was going to make is because it is brain dead boring, literally hours of me crawling towards enemies and seeing what triggers them. But this video is good because it confirms a bunch of things that I kind of knew, but I didn't want to really retest. First thing is the automaton ranges. This is tested on the automatons. I test on the bugs. They are different ranges. So I think they said 45, 35, and 20. I had for bugs with non-stealth, walking as like 20, walking as 30, crouching as like 20, 22, and prone as like 14, 15. So the line of sight for bugs is definitely shorter than the automatons, which probably also explains why automatons are so hard. Anyway, it looks like their line of sight has been bumped up now. So I could go back and test the bugs and see if the bugs have been bumped up too. And it looks like it's been bumped up by about 5 meters. So now automatons are seeing you at 50 meters when you're walking, 40 meters when you crouch, and 25 meters when you're crawling, which is a very long line of sight. I think this is going to explain some of the feelings of increased enemies, because they're just locking onto you a lot earlier. And there's more stuff to talk about when it comes to the patrols. CF Smoke Artillery Shell now reskinned into a grey APFSDS shell similar to the Napalm and Static Field. Previously, the Smoke Shell looked like identical to the Mini Nuke. Right. Miscellaneous changes with no impact on gameplay. Significantly faster mission completion screens. Changes in lobby mission completion animations. Maximum number of mission stars. Scale of difficulty. Intro video now needs to be skipped by holding down escape. Right. Now, there are a bunch of suspected stealth changes, and it says it may not be accurate, but there is a couple of these I really want to talk about because they're a bit of a hot topic. Enemy aggression, enemy spawn frequency, and enemy spawning on top of the players. So, enemy aggression. A lot of users have reported that enemy aggression seems to be a lot higher since the patch, ranging from medium to the highest difficulties. Namely, users reported that enemies will sometimes not lose aggro and will continue shooting at players, calling reinforcements even from the whole map away. This is in contrast to pre-patch, where running away and breaking line of sight will make enemies eventually lose interest. I have lots of footage of enemies losing interest pre-patch because I was doing all this stealth testing. Breaking line of sight, hiding behind a rock, and then I've got footage of them like just wandering around and searching. So if I can build the motivation to do hours of crawling through the dirt again, I can hopefully confirm if that has been changed. Definitely just subjectively, it feels like enemies have a higher aggression rate for sure. Enemy spawn frequency. A lot of users have noted that enemy spawn rate appears to be buffed across the board. This may be a flow-on impact from the previous point, since the more enemies are aggroed at any given time, the more patrols the aggro would spread to more, and the more reinforcement would be caught in. Yeah, and I also think this is if they really have changed the line of sight and how quickly they can detect you or how close they can detect you. All these things kind of build up on top of each other to make the game feel like you're constantly being chased. Enemies spawning on top of players. While this is a bug that people have occasionally run into since launch, there are reports this is happening more frequently post-patch. Again, this will be a flaw in respect of the previous 2 points. Yeah, exactly. So these things are all kind of maybe working together to make the game feel a lot harder. And there is footage of patrols just spawning on you, and I guarantee people in the comments here will have had this happen as well. The last point here I want to talk about, because I've also experienced this, is the HellPod steering lock. And this happened a couple times. I'm like, what is going on here? Why can't I control my Hellpod. Like, I've got the ship upgrade that should increase your ability to control your Hellpod. And then there were some times where I was like, I can't steer. It says here, the game now prevents Hellpod from being steered onto high ground, safe spots when reinforced by a teammate. Think invisible walls for your Hellpod. I was like, that's what's happening. Right, there is good news regarding the enemy density and spawn rate and the way it feels right now. The community manager Spitz put it in the Discord saying, "Hello, divers. I want to make a moment this afternoon to let you know that we've heard your concerns over the past few days regarding enemy spawns, enemy armor, and the ability to kill these enemies. And we've said before, our teams are always taking in player feedback and looking at how we can tweak the game to ensure that it's fair, enjoyable, and provides the best experience for everyone. I can confirm that we're currently looking at changes to the spawn rates and health pools of heavy enemies, and we'll be attempting to spread them out more to prevent large spikes of tougher mobs appearing at the same time, as well as making them a bit easier to bring down. This change should go out in a future hotfix. No dates as of yet. Thanks as always for your patience." Right, so there you go. There is a summary of the stealth changes that came with the most recent patch. I think the most important one is probably the enemy spawn and the detection, the lines of sight. I think that is kind of making the game feel very spammy and less tactical than it was previously. If you'd like to support the channel and cannot think of a comment, you can leave the word stealth. As usual, it's been a pleasure. This is Myling Games. Peace.